Hello, all you beautiful people out there in the pancake world. Welcome back, and I apologize, but I'm coming down with a little bit of a cold, so please bear with me. Today, I want to take a trip down the wide and winding road of data. Not that data, but the numbers and words type of data. For non-believers such as Jeran Campanella, data is just
right,
and can be faked, as he explains here in this highly enlightening video on NASA.
So this is my little paint program. Sorry for my art. I know it's horrendous, but it'll get my point across, which is the only goal here. So we've got this little craft over here on Mars. Sorry. Let's move this thing over here. All right, so we've got this little craft. It supposedly went to Mars. It's got Marco 1 and Marco 2, some stupid lie satellites that they say are traveling around Mars that are going to get the information here, and they're going to beam it back to our dishes here on Earth, right? So we got our dish. This travels, of course, some 90 million miles. Make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing, yes. Travels some 90 million miles, gets to our little dish, which then telegrams this or, sends this information to the NASA personnel at their little computer screens, right? Here's your NASA computer screens. So they are sending their information to the craft is sending their information back, etc., etc. Watch how easy this deception is. You might be amazed. All you have to do to fool the world is you put one little computer. We'll make it gray. I like gray. Let's see here. Here's our gray. All right, so you put one little computer right here, and you take this line and you run it here. And before you know it, you've got the deception right there. Why? Well, because this is a computer. Remember, all of these travels. So you've got the craft that had to fly out to Mars, and we know everything's mathematical. We know exactly the speed that it's going at this point in its orbit. We know the speed that it's going in this point in its orbit. We know exactly what the craft would be doing at this point in the orbit, all the way to Mars, right? Well, it's all mathematical. It's all mathematical. So when you input this one computer here, all of a sudden, none of this needs to exist. None of it. Because it's all mathematical. So as long as you have this computer, let's put a little computer screen here, and there you go. All you need is a little computer to simulate what this craft would be doing in its orbit of Mars, since it's all mathematical. So you got this computer now. We'll throw some little text in here so you can get an idea of what I mean. You got this computer which runs a program. Right? Okay, so this computer is running a program that responds when these people say, do this. Well, the computer responds. Okay, the craft did that. Well, this. Okay, the craft did. None of it exists. None of it even exists. It's that easy. It's that simple. And you've got all these scientists who think they're looking at a craft landing on Mars when it's all done in this little computer. That's it. It's that easy. That's the whole entire hoax.
But what Jeran doesn't understand, or chooses to be ignorant about, is the sheer size of data and the amount of different people from different fields that examine and analyze this data on a daily basis. For a full understanding of how much data we're talking about, let's take a look at the Mars Curiosity rover. Curiosity was launched in 2012. I remember this very well because rather than watching it live on TV, I was attending the U.S. Army Warrant Officer Candidate School, but that's a horror story for another day. Curiosity may have been planned and launched by NASA, but its design and build was in the works for decades before. On board the rover are 10 different scientific experiments, each built by a different group of people, most of whom do not work for the evil NASA. On the rover are the Radiation Assessment Detector, the Mastcam, the Mars Entry Descent Landing Instrument, the ChemCam, the Mars Hand Lens Imager, the Rover Environmental Monitoring Station, Alpha Particle X-ray Spectrometer, Chemical and Mineral X-ray Diffraction Instrument, a Sample Analysis at Mars Instrument, and the Dynamic Albedo of Neutrons Instrument. But for today's discussion, we're going to look at the ChemCam. Now, while the Mars rover itself was designed and launched by NASA, as I said, the different instruments were not. The ChemCam was actually designed by 6 different agencies, all in cooperation with NASA. But our first question is, what is the ChemCam? The ChemCam fires a laser in a series of pulses at a target, rock or soil. ChemCam's laser is powerful but is still invisible to the human eye. Electrons within the target become excited and emit light. The resulting flash of light is visible to the human eye, though. ChemCam receives this light with a built-in telescope, and it is sent down an optical fiber to the body of the rover. A spectrometer reads the light and identifies the type of atoms within the target that was hit by the laser. ChemCam is able to distinguish different elements because each element has its own unique fingerprint. This is the exact same technique used by forensic scientists in support of criminal investigations across the planet. I've personally sent evidence to the Army Crime Lab, asking them to determine the makeup of the evidence that I have sent them. Now, with Curiosity, teams of scientists, professors, and graduate students from across the planet collaborated just to design this tool. And they designed it to perform this specific mission. Many of these people didn't design it for themselves to actually look at the data. They were just the technical experts to build it and obtain the data. The data that is actually received by this instrument, though, is literally available for everyone to inspect. What Jeran doesn't understand is exactly what is and what is done with it. It is actual data. Data that you yourself have access to, and with the right training and understanding can actually analyze. Jeran, here's your data as provided by the Washington University. Per the Washington University, the geoscience node of NASA's planetary data systems archives and distributes digital data related to the study of the surface and interiors of terrestrial planetary bodies. We work directly with NASA's mission to help them generate well-documented permanent data archives. We provide data to NASA-sponsored research along with expert assistance in using this data. All our archives are online and available to the public to download free of charge. Here's the website where you can go find it yourself, Jeran. And I invite you to do it because thousands of people across the world do it on a daily basis. People that have actually trained in spectroscopy, but have no actual connection with NASA or even space science. People that have dedicated their lives to knowing what chemical signatures different compounds produce, similar to the scientists at my Army Crime Lab. Now, the data provided by the Mastcam isn't space science. It isn't even astronomy. It isn't anything related to anything other than the chemical makeup of rocks and dirt. And this data has been coming back to the Earth for the past 7 years, being analyzed by non-NASA scientists that whole time. If Jeran honestly wants to challenge the data that NASA is claiming is in his well, then here's his chance. Jeran, go get a degree in chemical spectroscopy and analyze the data from the Mastcam yourself. If the data is being faked, you or any other expert in spectroscopy, a non-NASA dominated field, will be able to tell because spectroscopy is an earth science. Round or flat doesn't matter. It is an earth science about chemicals. And there is literally no way for an organization to completely fake this data without someone, somewhere, that has expertise in it to call them on their bluff. Now, if you think you can fake this, or if you think NASA can fake this, see the link below about the list of documented scientific fraud where experts in their field directly called out the fraud of other experts in the field. Modifying data can be easily identified by anyone who knows what that data should look like. As an expert, Jeran, if you choose to become one, you will personally be able to easily identify someone who's fudging the numbers. Now remember, right now I'm just talking about the Mastcam. That doesn't include the data from the other 9 instruments from Curiosity that provide the same specialized, specific data that experts every day analyze, and experts every day don't call out as fake. It also doesn't include the dozens of other probes that are currently exploring the solar system, all of which continuously stream massive amounts of data back to the Earth. Each of them with their own specific field of people who have spent their lifetime learning and studying to become an expert so they can understand what that data means. And what you're claiming, Jared, is that some pencil pusher in an office in NASA can fake data that experts can't identify. But then again, Jeran, if you think it's fake, I wholly invite you to show me where it's fake, rather than just make your silly little
Right?
And claim that's proof. Because it's not. You're just too afraid to admit that what NASA does is real and amazing, awe-inspiring, and earth-shattering. Not flat earth shattering, but globe earth shattering. Because they're taking us to the stars. While the drivel that you spew is taking us to the sewers. But then again, I guess I could be wrong. But the data doesn't support that. Thanks for joining me again, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel, please like and subscribe. Please go back and check my historic archive. There's a bunch of stuff in the past, mostly educational, once in a while a little snarky and a little pointed at the stupid. But please, if you enjoy my content, support the channel. Come over on Discord and join me. I'm not big enough to have my own server quite yet. I'm not even 1,000 subscribers, but yay, we'll get there someday. I usually hang out on the UDSA Discord. It's a pretty good place. There's a bunch of different creators over there. I hang out there usually on a daily basis. Message me, comment, we can interact. It's a great place to debate, to discuss, and just have a good time. So come join the community, be part of the solution, not the problem. And until next week, remember, stay flat.